Okay folks, welcome to another quality edition of 4 Visa Answers in 5 minutes. Let's get straight into it. Okay, question 1. What are the Labor Party policies going to be like if they win the federal election in May? Okay, so the Labor Party support skilled permanent migration because migrants improve the building industry, they improve demand for housing, and that employs union members, which is really a part of the ethos of what the Labor Party is about. Also, the Labor Party has always supported stronger family migration, family reunion migration, and they don't like people on temporary work visas. Because the more people there are on temporary work visas, which can include student visas, 485s, 482s, 457s, etc., it does dull the average wage of especially semi-skilled Australian workers. Because obviously if there are another 10,000, 20,000 students with work rights, then that increases the choice of an employer on who they might employ into a position, and the more choice they've got, the less wage they have to pay. So the Labor Party don't want as many people on temporary work visas, or at least people on visas with temporary work rights, so they might take away some of those work rights, but they do want an increased, I think, migration program. So for example, two of the decisions they've already decided on is on the temporary 482 work visas, which are the old 457s, they're going to increase the salary required to sponsor someone from overseas from $53,900 to $65,000 as a minimum. Now the Liberal Party were already going to probably move it to $62,000, so it's not a lot of difference, but it is the direction the Labor Party would move in. They're also going to increase the amount of hurdles needed to jump over to employ those people, whether it's being on part of a more thoroughly assessed skilled list or some more licensing requirements. So it's definitely going to be harder to sponsor people on temporary work visas. They've also, as part of their belief of stronger family reunion, they've brought in some really welcome changes on the parent visa. So the new temporary parent visa that the Liberals talked about last month, instead of $10,000 for 5 years to bring in 2 parents, it's only going to cost $2,500. So a huge saving. And also the Labor have said, hey, if you can only bring in 2 parents and you're a couple living in Australia and you can only bring in 2 parents, you're not going to have to choose, I'm going to choose my wife's parents or I'm going to choose just my husband's parents. You're going to be able to sponsor all 4 parents if your income is enough money. So that's a good change as well. So that's where Labor are heading. I believe as well, in my opinion, I don't think they'll keep the skill migration or the total migration program down at 160,000. I think they're much more likely to move back to 190. Don't worry what you see in the media about the Labor Party saying, you know, they are happy with the current settings. What they've actually said is they'll go with what the experts say. And there's nothing stopping them having their own experts after the 18th of May if they win the election. They want increased migration. 160,000 is not a big number. In my belief, they'll move back to 190,000 fairly soon. Okay, question 2. Primary Product Inspector. I'm working in this field for more than the last year. Can I apply for PR under this occupation? Okay, so this is really just an example of what we go through when we're assessing an occupation, so I thought I'd put this one up there. It's not on the 189 independent skilled list, so you need to find a state government that might sponsor you under that occupation. Now, unless you've studied in South Australia, it really only leaves the Tasmanian list as an opportunity for the 489 and the 190 visa. Now, Tasmania require you to have relatives there, to be setting up a business there, to work 6 months there, or for you to have studied for 1 or 2 years there. So again, assuming that's not the case, really at the moment you don't have a chance either state-sponsored or independent. So if I was you, I'd wait till after the 1st of July 2019. At that point, the states will look at more occupations being added to their list, and the big change is going to be November 2019. So November 2019 is when the new regional visas come in, the 491 and the 494, between 500 and 700 occupations on that list, so your occupation may well be on there. What you need to do for now is go get your skills assessed. That occupation is assessed by VetAssess. They require 12 months work experience in the last 5 years. Go get the skills assessment now. You don't know what the rules are going to be in a few years' time, in 6 months' time. At least if you have the skills assessment already, chances are if VETassess change their criteria, the department will probably still accept those results for the next 3 years. So get that done now and keep your fingers crossed for November. Just as a side note, in my belief, I think the Labor Party will probably keep the regional visa, but not put as many places to it. Again, they don't like temporary work visas. The 491 and the 494 are temporary work visas. That's going to increase the competition for Australian wages. I think they won't be putting as many places in that category. They may well have their own version of a permanent visa in regional areas. Right, question 3. Can any company get a labour agreement? Now, a labour agreement allows a company to add occupations that they can sponsor under, add occupations that are otherwise not on the skilled list, or maybe even lower one of the skill levels that are required for that occupation, maybe lower the English level or lower the amount of work experience. Now, it's really hard for a company to get a labour agreement done by themselves. We've done a few for companies, and generally you're talking about companies that are going to employ 50, 100, 250 people in that occupation. If it's just a small company, generally they're not going to do their own labour agreement. What you're better off doing is finding a company that is in a region that have had a DAMA approved. Now, DAMA is a designated area migration agreement. It means immigration have already approved that region for a much easier pathway of getting a labour agreement done. So the Northern Territory, South Australia, regional areas of WA, New South Wales and Victoria have already had DAMAs approved. And what that will allow is companies in those regions to sponsor people on occupations that are maybe not on a skilled list. So for example, aged carer or childcare worker or something like that. So that's the theory. If you're in an occupation not on a list, find a company in a DAMA region and it'll make things a little bit easier for you. Question 4, I just want to know if there's any possibility I can use my course for residency. I've just finished a diploma of early childhood and care. Okay, so look, there is an advanced diploma in childcare. A lot of students study that course. So if you can expand your study to do that course, it'll allow you, under the current rules, to get a 485 visa for 18 months as a childcare centre manager, as a provisional skills assessment. That'll give you 18 months where you're able to work in Australia, maybe get some more work experience. It'll also allow you to go through the Job Ready program with the TRA as a childcare centre manager. Now that's a difficult job to get a role in straight away, being a junior graduate. You've really got to be in senior management within that childcare centre. But at least you'll get a 485 visa, get some work experience, and who knows, it might be that after a couple of years, maybe one of these other visas become eligible for you, like a 491 or a 494. So diploma of early childhood, not quite good enough. Doing an advanced diploma in childcare and you'll get some more opportunities. Okay, one more bonus question. Hi there, I wondered if you could help me with an employment reference requirement. I'm claiming points for my registered nurse position. I've also worked as an admin assistant. Do I need to provide employment references for my admin assistant role? Okay, so if you're nominating registered nurse, you're clearly getting no points at all from your admin assistant job. So you must declare that job on your application forms, but you do not have to show any pay slips or any work references for that, simply because you're not claiming any work points. So that makes that a little bit easier. Okay folks, that's all for this episode. Hope you found that useful. Remember, if you have any visa questions at all, or you want some quality management of your visa application, email us at any time to query@iscar.com. I hope you have a great week. Cheers.